bastards, and welcome back once again to Gomathzon, Fortress Legend Helm. Now then, before we get started, a little background information about this fortress here. Because this is the first episode in a new part of the Steelclutches story, Part 4 to be precise. Now, let's see here. Fortress Gomathzon, or rather, I guess it can't be called a fortress quite yet, but prospective Fortress Gomathzon is located over on the eastern side of the Ageless Realms continent, deep within the Goblin Heartland. It is currently the year 1051 in the Ageless Realms. That is quite a long history. A history dominated by the Goblin civilization, the Nightmare of Webbing, and their Demon King. The civilizations of the humans, elves, and dwarves crumbled about 800 years ago, and were destroyed by constant infighting, as well as goblin raids, and a whole bunch of attacks by a dragon, Gemworm, and a forest titan, Nemo Pelt Oranges, leaving only the goblin civilization, who have flourished mightily in the past 800 years. Now, the first fortress I had started in this world was named Steelclutches, the namesake of this whole series here. Now, Steelclutches was a very large and successful fortress built in the scabrous prairies, an evil place infested with zombies. Now, the dwarves did fairly alright for themselves over the 30 years of that fortress's history, but the goblins eventually overcame them. But not before the dwarves there got in touch with a dwarven god, Ital, the dwarven god of balance. Now, the dwarves, before they were brought low, prayed to this god for balance, because the world was terribly unbalanced. Goblins ran the place, and the scale had to be evened, which means that many goblins had to die. And to accomplish this end, Ital created the demigod hero of balance, Bim Silversnarl, a leopard seal man. Now, Bim quested around the world trying to increase his strength so he could finally fight the goblins, but when it came down to it, he had a bit of a change of heart and decided to retire. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, but all in all, I kind of feel like the dwarves lost faith in Ital and the Hero of Balance. I mean, really, he was created to help them, but, you know, like, didn't. And to this very day, he sits in his compound, Snarl Hill, with his minions, the Honey Badger Men, and yeah, is just kind of retired. Now, the dwarves lost faith in the quest for balance, and so in an effort to try to just survive, a few scattered dwarves made a small settlement over on the western side of the continent, the opposite side of the continent from the goblin civilization. Just kind of a hidden away little retreat, or that was the intention anyways, but this retreat soon swelled to over 200 dwarves, and eventually included the queen of the entire civilization, Kivish Keeperplank. The goblins eventually caught wind of this place and started to attack it in droves, but were repelled at every turn. Hundreds upon hundreds of goblins met their end in the halls of Zalutadil, the wooden fortress in the west. But that still wasn't enough for the dwarves of this world, and so it was eventually decided to take more direct action against them by building this fortress here, Gomathzon, Legend Helm. Now, these 7 dwarves are currently located at the foot of the hills in this valley here, in an area known as the Prairies of Whipping, and just to the west lays a goblin-controlled area and abandoned dwarven hillocks named Morning Rough, where most of the goblins of this world actually live now. And up to the northeast is where the goblin capital is, Buried Seduced, and is also where their Demon King lives, as well as a legion of trolls. And I'm gonna bet it doesn't take very long for them to realize we're here, so we gotta get our asses a-movin'. And now that all that backstory is out of the way, we can start doing that. Now, as I had said earlier, there are currently 7 dwarves, a weaponsmith, an armorer, 2 masons, 2 miners, and 1 teacher, who's really good at using axes. My hope is that this dwarf will be useful for creating a military in the future. Not a big military, mind you, because I've set the population cap of this fortress to 50 dwarves. I don't want there to be too many dwarves here just in case something goes horribly awry. I mean, the objective is to bring the dwarven civilization back, not destroy it farther, so we're gonna play it fairly safe in that regard. Now then, let's see here. A fortress. We're gonna want it to be fairly centrally placed on the map here, so I'm thinking actually right to the south of this wagon, at the foot of this hill here. That'd be a good place to start it, I think. And you know, we're gonna start it small too. We don't want to catch the attention of those goblins too early on, so we're going to be quiet, nice and quiet, little down staircase here, and most of our activities are going to be underground, nice and safe. So let's get to digging, eh? Really far down. We're not going to be doing anything too exciting straight off the bat here, just getting ourselves situated. Alright, now I'm planning a little trap. I had said earlier that I want to get a trap done early to help with defenses, but I'm biting off more than I can chew, as per usual. You can see here if we move downward, I've carved out a little room, and then below that, another room, and below that, a wider room, down, 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 and it gets wider and wider and wider as we go down a whole bunch of Z levels here until we reach the bottom. So this is going to kind of give us a long pyramid-shaped cavern to work with. And I'm also hoping to use that as a trap, because we do have this brook right nearby, and I'm hoping I can make a pathway down the sides of that cavern that will take the goblins in kind of a roundabout route, and then I can just kind of flood it up and flush their corpses out when I'm done with them. But we'll see how that works out. And in the meantime, I'm getting a bunch of trees cut down, my dwarves are collecting them in nice little stockpiles here, and things are just going great. I'm gonna get a trade depot going here, just so if dwarven caravans arrive, I can do some trading with them. I'm trying to focus mainly on the fortress at the moment and not the production of food. So if we can get our food through trading, more power to us. Now 2 of these miners anyways are very well skilled in their craft, so this should go pretty quick I'm thinking. That's the hope anyways. Yep, things are looking pretty good so far. Good, good. It's very tense out here, let me tell you. Goblins all around. You have to be wary of their watching eyes. Oh my god, the caravan has arrived? We only just started, we've done nothing. Oh my god. Alright, well coming in guys, we have nothing to trade with you. Damn it, it's not great. Well, I guess we're gonna have to start producing our own food. I didn't realize it was so late in the year already. We'll see what happens. Alright, the merchants have left and I've started building a little structure up here around the mouth of our fortress. Just as a very frail means of defense, but it will get the job done. Just a little enclosing structure, a wooden wall and a ceiling, as well as this bridge as a gate. Just in case those goblins attack, we can lock ourselves up inside nice and safe and just wait for them to leave. That's for only if we get attacked very soon. We'll have no other option ready. Speaking of no other options, I'm actually going to build a few workshops here so we do have some more options. I noticed we have a bunch of obsidian on the map, and obsidian can actually be turned into crude short swords. Fairly easily too, no fuel needed, unlike metal short swords. So I'm going to start making a bunch of those swords and put them into weapon traps. And then just scatter those traps all over the damn place. Better than nothing, right? Which is exactly what we have at the moment, by the way. Oh, and side note here, we got Kias. They're all over the damn place already. How annoying, huh? Oh, speaking of annoying, we have some migrants already. That's actually not annoying, that's actually a very good thing. I was just caught in the moment, I'm sorry. Let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3... Oh my goodness, all sorts of dwarves here. Zaludidil dwarves, actually. Wow, you know, that's actually very cool. Well, glad to have you guys. Well, you know, they're still coming onto the map. I'm gonna get them all sorted out, and then I'll get right back to you in 1 second. Alright, well, I guess that's gonna about do it for new migrants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. More than doubling our number, and they're all dwarves from Future Lanterns. Very interesting, huh? You can see I've marked each of them with an FL next to their profession name. A whole bunch of colorful profession names, mind you. We have a fisher dwarf, who's going to be doing some fishing, as well as a Gutbeard, who's going to be gutting those fish, and a Naps dwarf, who's going to be our stonecrafter, the one who's going to be making those swords for the weapon traps. And then we actually have some warrior dwarves from Zaludidil as well, Limel, Dakost, and Zasset. You know, I hadn't assigned them to any tasks, but I guess I probably should, huh? Or else they'll just be sitting around. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Alright, so they've all been assigned some new tasks, and I guess I'm gonna start digging out an area up here right at the surface, just for some temporary quarters, and a place to grow some crops as well. Both very necessary if we want to live very long. There we go, that should get us started. A room for a dormitory, a room for a farm, and a room for just plain storage. You can see Akia has already stolen a copper battle axe. Great, fantastic. Glad to hear it. Now, I'm gonna tell you what, I'm not one to say, ooh, I've got a bad feeling about this, but this time I've got a bad feeling and I can't shake it. I don't know why, I don't have a reason to have a bad feeling, well, other than the fact that we're deep in the Goblin Heartland. I don't know, it's probably nothing. But I swear there's a tension in the air. Not good. I guess we'll see what happens. Time is ticking away here in Gomathzon, and we are working away on our cavern here still. It's currently early spring in 1052, coming up on a year so far, and we still had no sign of trouble from those goblins. That being said, I just became privy to a piece of information that could really help us out here. Apparently sieges won't show up until you have 80 dwarves in your fortress. I did not know that, so I actually went in and turned our population number up to 100 dwarves. Just in case if we do lose a few dwarves, I want to be able to stay up above 80 dwarves at least. You know, so I mean that's kind of a wrench in the works, but it's still really not that bad. 100 dwarves still really isn't that many. I mean, it's still less than half the number we had in Zaludidil, and I was thinking I could keep the population at 50 just until we get nice and situated here, just so we don't have to worry about those goblins showing up until our traps are ready. But that's no fun, is it? We want that danger, we want that tension, that's why we're here. We've really got to get our asses a-moving on this whole thing. I mean, as I had said, it's coming up on a year already, and we still have nothing, except for a couple of crappy weapon traps. We have encountered quite a few different types of ore so far. Copper, silver, even hematite, so that's not bad. Got most of our bases covered, and we only managed to make a couple of weapon traps over here. It's not going to be of much use at all, but I do have the dwarves currently making other metallic trap components, like spiked silver balls and serrated copper discs, so hopefully we're going to have a few more traps going, because yeah, this is not going to be doing much of anything. Well, more migrants, fantastic. Let's see what we got. Man, there's a whole bunch of them too. Jeez, we're up to 29 dwarves now. That almost doubled us again. Oh, we're going to be in trouble in fairly short order, I think. Oh well, no worries. More hands to get work done. Kinda hard to complain about that, really. Well, I'm gonna get these guys sorted out real quick and then continue digging down. I'm almost done with that. And I'll go over my next plans when I'm done with that. Alrighty, it's currently the 1st of Fell Sight, late spring, and the cavern is mostly completed. And it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 levels tall. Pretty impressive, right? Unfortunately, the sides of it are not smooth, which is kind of bothering me, but it's not a big deal. It's absolutely fine. It's basically just going to serve as a kill chamber anyways. Plus, we really had to get the thing done quickly, which we still didn't really accomplish, but smoothing it would have taken much longer. Now, I've got this little hall here coming off the right side of the bottom level of this cavern, and that's where the fortress proper will end up being, just at the end there. I figured I'd carve that out real quick just so we could start throwing some workshops and dormitory over there, just so our dwarves will be nice and safe inside if those goblins do show up early. As I said, we're gonna have to lock ourselves up inside, we have no other option. Now, currently we have this walkway going down the middle of this cavern, and I'm gonna be getting rid of that in fairly short order, because my goal is to have a walkway around the outer edge of this cavern here, for the goblins to go down. Goblins and trade wagons. So when I do finally make that, it's going to be fairly wide. So I think I'm actually going to build a little corridor like this. 1, 2, 3, just like this, and I'm gonna have it spiral around the outside of this cavern, leading all the way up to the surface, just like this here. And we're going to repeat this all the way up. And I'm trying not to be too concerned about keeping it even. I don't care that much. I try not to let it get to me. There's always this pressure in this game to make everything nice and symmetric, but I try not to let it bother me. It's unrealistic anyways. Just trying to put these long straight paths here against the longer edges of this cavern. And in these hallways I'm going to put fortifications looking out into the cavern, which will A, kind of be neat and scenic, and B, it'll also allow the water to explode into every nook and cranny of this chamber when I do pull that lever in the future. And that's the hope anyways. Alrighty, just finish it up. You can see it starts at the very bottom of this cavern here and circles around, just like this, going up levels now. A couple long corridors here. As I had said, there's going to be fortifications in the walls looking out into that cavern. And after we get above the cavern here, I have a couple long hallways that circle around like so, and lead out to nearby where the wagon currently is. Now we're still trying to be fairly quiet because we don't want the goblins showing up too early. So all there's going to be is a small little hole in the ground to start. But after we finally get their attention, I'm going to build a big ol' above ground fortress or some sort of a structure or something, just to kind of taunt them into coming, those rat bastards. But for now, all it is a straight old tunnel. No fripperies. Wow, this tunnel's actually going a lot quicker than I thought. Surprising. Dwarves are working from both ends. And complete. Fantastic. I have a few dwarves now making weapons for traps, but we still need a lot more to be effective, and so in the meantime I'm gonna start getting situated underneath here. I think it'd be pretty cool if we could flood this chamber, and then after it's all drained out or whatever, we could just walk in here, pick over the goblin corpses, take what we need from them, and then just bring all their remains over to the side like right here, and just crush them all up and dispose of them. Yeah, you know, I've got a feeling after we get this water trap done, we're not gonna have any problems at all from the goblins. We'll be able to just sit back and relax. They'll show up, we'll drown them all, back to work. And we are speeding right along, really. No worries. But, yes. Okay, so, a fortress. I'm gonna keep it fairly bare bones, just to start anyways. As I had said, speed is a current priority. Gonna have to put some thought into this, just one moment. Alright, so this is how we're gonna start off the fortress proper. You can see this large chamber here is going to be the meeting hall at some point. But first I have my dwarves going up, 5 levels above that, and digging out some bedrooms. 3x3 bedrooms. Fairly spacious, and those are going to be ringed around these 5 levels here above the meeting hall. I think that's going to work out pretty okay. The meeting hall and the residences all kind of just in one area, all clumped together. And then at some point in the future, I'm going to put walkways coming off this base level here, just to workshop areas, farms, all that sort of stuff. That's going to get the job done for now. But they've got a ways to go, so I'm just going to let them work for now. In the meantime, I'm coming up with some more interesting plans for our drowning chamber. I built a windmill here up on the surface, and it says we have 40 power in this area from wind. Just because, if you didn't know, different biomes have different wind powers, and so I had to build this just to make sure. Now, what I'm thinking here is, underneath this drowning chamber, I'm going to build some waterways attached to a pump stack, like that tower we had in Zaludadil, so that after we fill up this chamber, we can pump it all back up to the surface here, way up here, to about this level, where we're going to have a large reservoir for water. And after we get it filled up initially, we can just keep recycling that water. Now, that's probably going to be a gigantic pain in the ass, but I'm not particularly concerned about it. I think we get it done fairly quick. I mean, these dwarves do seem to be speedy workers, so that's good. I think it'd be neat to start flooding this walkway right where the goblins start entering from, and just kind of flush them down into the chamber to drown. It's gonna be awesome. I can guarantee it. You know, I'm definitely biting off more than I can chew with this. Oh well. Cautions for wimps. And we are the dwarves of Fortress Gomathzon. We fear nothing. Oh, hey now, first strange mood of this fortress. Finalizing, a Cogsdwarf slash warrior from Future Lanterns. Pretty exciting, I'm hoping for a good one, but not hoping too hard I guess. Finalizing, the temporary Cogsdwarf slash warrior slash Future Lanterns dwarf, has created Stintomem Dasnast, a citrine weapon rack. That sounds pretty badass. Let's take a look. I'm curious to see how wrong I am. Strife grouped, the East Steppe. Not a lot to it. It is encircled with bands of rectangular citrine cabicons. Huh, well, fairly straightforward. Although to have an entire weapon rack made out of citrine is pretty badass, I gotta say. I'm sure we'll find something neat to do with it. But for the time being, throw it in the pile and get back to work. Alrighty, we're still trucking away in these rooms here. We have the top 2 levels carved out, and we're getting them smoothed as we speak. But I'm trying not to focus too much on that right now. We really have to focus on this water chamber. I've dug out these canals underneath, and I'm starting to get this pump stack going. We nearly have enough components to make all the screw pumps, but just these top couple levels of this pump stack are carved into the dirt, and I really feel like I should replace those with stone. I know it's not something I should be worrying about, but it's really gonna bother me if I don't. So we're just trying to take care of that real quick. It shouldn't be a problem, we're still far away from 80 dwarves, so I'm not worried about sieges at the moment. Although from what I understand, that doesn't mean we're safe from the goblins. I guess traveling armies can still run into our fortress here. They just won't be sending sieges directly to the fortress here. So we're gonna have to keep on our toes. Stay frosty, dwarves. And more migrants, fantastic. We may actually be hitting 80 dwarves sooner than I thought, which is scary. And it looks like it's more Zaludidal dwarves. It's good to see the mountain home getting in on the action. Well, let's take a look. Alright, we're now up to 37 dwarves. No terribly familiar faces, but something cool here. This dwarf here, Moses, was a Steelclutches dwarf. So this is the 3rd fortress that this dwarf has been in. That's fairly impressive. That's gotta warrant a nickname, right? Let's see, the 3rd finger on her left hand is smashed open and broken, and her right ear is mangled. Oh, you know, I got it. From now on, Moses, you shall be known as Survivor, because truly that's exactly what you are. And I'll even put a Future Lanterns tag on you as well, kinda like a badge of honor. Man, I really like this dwarf, I'll tell you that much. I feel like I'll have to do something special with her, but I'm not sure what. And we don't really have time for that anyways. Let's see, what else have we done here? We had our first fortress baby born, little Locum here, currently crawling around this pile of rocks, whose parents are a couple of these Zaludidal dwarves. That's pretty cool, huh? Oh, and on top of that, we actually had our first fortress death as well, Lycott, one of the Pinebeards from Zaludidal. I didn't realize it right away, but when they entered the map, they were already very wounded, and so they didn't make it very far. I guess they must have led that group of migrants here, then just died when the destination was reached. Kind of an interesting story, really. I don't know what happened to them on the way here, but obviously something fairly traumatic. Oh well, I suppose. Back to work, dwarves. Well, it looks like the caravans have arrived once more. We don't really have anything to trade with them. You know, we could actually trade some of our trap components. We have a ton of them, and they should be worth a decent amount. But I'm really not too worried about it, I guess. We're making plenty of food at the moment. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. However, in other news, this above ground reservoir for our water trap there is getting a bit out of hand. You know, I figured I'd better make the thing pretty big, just so we have enough water getting pumped into that cavern, but this thing is gonna be pretty enormous. But better safe than sorry, right? I hate to make the thing and have it not be big enough. That'd kinda suck. So I'm going a bit above and beyond with it. And it's also gonna be poking out the front of the mountainside here, which I think is gonna be pretty cool looking. And I don't really know how many Z levels tall it's gonna be. Maybe like 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be a mess. On top of that, we have quite a few weapon traps over to the west now. Not that they're going to do much against a big siege, but it's better than nothing. And they consist mostly of serrated copper discs. So they're not bad, really. Our meeting hall is totally carved out at this point, as well as most of our residences. But they've still all got to be smoothed. But the dwarves seem to be doing fine. They're all in good spirits. So no worries on that. I'd say we're looking pretty darn good. Well, back to work. Oh boy, just had another migrant wave. Brings us up to 44 dwarves now. More and more dwarves every second, I'm telling you. Again, a ton of Zaludidal dwarves, including Dumat Boulder, one of the starting 7 dwarves at Zaludidal. And actually, he's one of my favorites too. It'll be neat to flesh him out a little bit more. Now, if you don't remember, Boulder here married one of the other starting 7 dwarves in Zaludidal, Untroubled, that was her nickname. And they actually had 4 children there, none of whom came along with him just now. But he did bring 2 of his pets, a cavy and a guinea hen. Pretty interesting. Glad to have you aboard, Dumat. You're sure to be an asset. Alrighty, if you take a look here, our reservoir chamber is coming right along, just putting the roof on it now. And now you can kind of see the rough shape of it. We're making it out of schist blocks, so it is stone. You know, I'm feeling more and more positive about this whole thing, really. That's gotta be a good sign, right? I'll take it. Back to work. Well, YouTube, we just got another migrant wave, and would you look here is Minka Pops Idmamot, the expedition leader of Zalutadil. That is goddamn crazy, huh? Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure all these dwarves are again from Zalutadil. Oh my god, they're still coming too. This is getting ridiculous. I'm so afraid to look at our population right now. Oh my god, we're up to 65. That is horrendous. Alright, those goblins are going to be coming soon, which is just awful. All the dwarves are still piled up out here by the wagon. We still don't have a proper meeting hall. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, we really got to get our asses moving. Alright, if we take a look down this way, you can see our reservoir chamber. Quite spacious, a couple Z levels tall now. Yeah, this thing's gonna hold a ton of water when it's done. And we're still not quite done with it. Now when it's done, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of water. But I'm still not sure if that's gonna be enough. As I already said, it'd be a gigantic pain in the ass if we didn't have enough to flood that chamber entirely. Well, it's really not that bad, I guess. You know what? I think this is gonna be fine. Oh, and as a side note here, you can see this insane dwarf, Aerith, a Zalutadil dwarf. They had a strange mood a while ago, but we didn't have any cloth. And so now they're currently overthrown by the stresses of day-to-day living, and just kind of sitting in this reservoir here. If you look over here at the pump stack, we do have a few screw pumps going right now. Still working away at those. Now I'm gonna get straight back to work because I think I can actually finish this thing this episode, which would be pretty cool. But we'll see what happens. Back to it, dwarves. Oh boy, our first challenge. One of the dwarves has gone berserk. They had a strange mood a while ago and again didn't have any cloth. Apparently that's the case anyways. I actually sent the dwarves out and managed to gather enough plants to turn into cloth, which I did, and that wasn't good enough. So then we sheared some of our animals and made wool cloth. Apparently they didn't want that either. We don't have any silk cloth, so I'm wondering if that's what they needed. Well, in any event, they're now berserk, and they're gonna go on a bloodthirsty killing spree in just a moment. Now I'm just gonna unpause it and see what happens, I guess. A bunch of the dwarves from Zalutadil are warriors, and I believe they're in the vicinity here. And they should be able to deal with this guy pretty quick. That's the hope anyways. Let's take a watch. Alright, he's going, and ooh, yeah. He's already dead. Swarmed and immediately killed. Let's take a look at that combat log. Yeah, he wasn't able to do a damn thing. Good. Losing dwarves left and right, and we haven't even seen the goblins yet. Oh well, no worries. Back to work. Oh boy, another migrant wave. Hey, Shark. Another of the starting 7 dwarves from Zalutadil. That's really something. Up to 74 dwarves now. Oh boy. And still no appropriate defenses. It is coming along though. All stone now, just getting the rest of these boulders out of here. And after that's done, we have to figure out how to initially fill up this reservoir. I'm thinking we could dig a tunnel from the brook to the cavern, flood it that way, then pump the water from the cavern up into this reservoir here, and then just keep recycling that water. I'm thinking that's gonna have to be the way we do it. It's a pain in the ass, but gotta do what you gotta do, right? Being attacked by Kias again. This Kia here, mid-flight, is currently vomiting. You can see there's a pile of vomit next to him while he's flying here. I love this game. Just by the way. Alright, I had said we have no appropriate defenses, but I guess that's kind of a lie. Over on our western flank, we have a big field of weapon traps now. All sorts of different ones. You can see this flock of emus wandered in here at one point and were all annihilated almost instantly. I'm starting to feel a bit more confident about this side. I'm just really hoping that this is the direction the goblins come from. But I guess we'll see. In the meantime, back to work. Oh boy, some more migrants have arrived. Let's take a look. Zalutadil dwarves yet again. That takes us up to 83 dwarves. Oh boy. I guess that now means we run the risk of being attacked by the goblins, which isn't a great thing. But I guess I'm not too concerned. The fortress is coming right along down here. You can see the meeting hall is now all smoothed out. We have some tables and thrones in there. So that's looking pretty good. Down to the south, you can see a little farm room I have going. Dwarves are already at work putting water in there so we can actually put farms in there. Up to the north here, I have a bunch of food storage rooms. That'll be nice. Just trying to make it so that we can live down here if we are stuck down here. You know, that's kind of important. We only have a few more screw pumps to put into place before this entire pump stack is good to go. These drainage bridges here are all linked up, so that when this cavern is full, we could just let all the water out and the pump stack could just take it right up to the reservoir. And if you look over here, we made a little channel for this brook water to get down into the cavern. It's kind of a confusing system really, but it's all gonna work out fine, no worries. But we're gonna have to get our asses moving because it's currently mid-autumn. I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to fill up the reservoir before winter comes, and that might be a problem. Keep working, dwarves. You know, I'm confident that we can finish the entire thing before the end of the episode at this point, but I guess I'm not gonna get my hopes too high up. Dwarf fortress and everything, you know. Alright, we're looking pretty damn good here in Gomathzon. The pump stack is completely finished now, and is currently running. It's gonna be shut off in a second though. There we go. I'm only gonna turn it on when we need to drain that cavern. A cavern which is completely emptied of boulders or any other kind of refuse now. Oh, and sweet. Kivish Alathafmik has begun a mysterious construction. Our second artifact. Yeah, things are just going great around here, I'll tell you that much. So our entire water trap is ready to go right now. Man, that is amazing. The farm room is completely finished here. We've finished smoothing out all of these residences. We've made enough beds, we just gotta put them in place now. We have a big old meeting hall here, plenty of food, but unfortunately it is now winter, so we can't fill up the cavern quite yet. Just gotta wait till spring. It's currently 10th of obsidian, 1053, late winter, so it shouldn't take much longer. Oh, and also before I forget, this damn dwarf here, or rather the ghost of this damn dwarf who died in the field over here, is a huge dick. Just by the way, we haven't yet memorialized him, so he's just been floating around, knocking tables over, you know, just haunting people. Most of the time he just sits out in this field here, plotting his next move, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll get to you eventually. Lycut Katanginet, who is an energetic poltergeist. Energetic? I don't think I've seen that before. Of course it makes sense because he has been doing all sorts of annoying things around here. Let's keep an eye on him. If you take a look up here on top of this reservoir, oh sweet. Kivish Alathufmik, the tunneler, has created a Sol Dudgoth Uzlir Tezul, a cobaltite bed. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look at that. Seizure Bogs, the factional noose. Yeah, that's a weird one. It is encrusted with rectangular cobaltite cabicons and decorated with horsebone. This object is adorned with hanging rings of cobaltite and menaces with spikes of zinc. Very interesting. Anyways, now throw it in the pile and get back to work. Anyways, as I was saying, back to the reservoir here. Up on top of it, I don't know if I had shown off my windmills. 14 of them, all connected up with axles. Seems to be getting the job done. Now, my one big concern for this whole thing is trolls. So I'm starting to put some weapon traps around the base of this reservoir here, just in case they do try to get up here. Because the troll could just wander up here, destroy one of these axles, and we wouldn't have enough power to run that pump stack anymore. So I'd like to try to get them to not do that, if possible. That is, if trolls even show up. We didn't see a single one in all of Zuludadil. I guess we'll see what happens. Anyways, back to work I suppose. I really want to see this thing going before the end of the episode. And speak of the devil, look at here. Everything just unthawed. It's like 2 seconds later. Awesome. Alright, I suppose we can start this whole thing here. First things first, I'm going to set up a burrow down in this lower fortress area here. Alright, just set up a burrow to include this whole lower fortress area. And now I'm going to tell everybody to get in there. Let's go, guys. Alright, all the dwarves are making their way down. Do not tarry, dwarves. We're looking pretty good up here. A few remaining dwarves making their way to the meeting hall. Alright, I think we're good. Now first, I'm going to close up those bridges, the drainage bridges at the bottom of the cavern, as well as this lower fortress gate. Okay, we're all good there. Cavern is all closed up. Dwarves are clear of the surface. Brook water is ready to pour down into the cavern. So let's pull this lever here and get that water a-flowing. It is pulled. There it goes. I imagine this is going to take a little while just because I can't imagine there's a lot of water going down that brook, but it should be quicker after we have that reservoir filled up. I would imagine. Alright, the tunnel is starting to fill up. The water has reached the first set of fortifications and is now going down into the cavern. And that water is falling down, 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 down to the cavern floor here. And I'm actually really stoked to see it not going into the fortress. That'd kind of suck. Hey now, why are so many dwarves very thirsty right now? That's kind of bothersome. Make some drinks. Go ahead everyone, make a bunch of drinks. Okay, no big emergency. Dwarves are making drinks right now. So that should be fine. Not too concerned, I suppose. Oh my god. And a vile force of darkness has arrived. Interesting turn. Man, I wish it would have showed up a little earlier just so we could throw him into that cavern there while it flooded. Oh well. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. We're actually at a perfect place to make this a nice little cliffhanger, which I know totally sucks for you guys, but gives you something to look forward to. All kinds of wounded goblins, huh? Very interesting. Anyways, hold your horses, fellas. Well, I gotta say, that was a pretty damn exciting first episode for this very thirsty fortress, Gomathzon. I'm really hoping we can make enough drinks for these guys. I'm not sure what the problem is. Anyways, in just 2 years, we managed to make a big old fortress here. We have ourselves a meeting hall, an underground farm area, plenty of storage, workshops, over 100 residences here, and our biggest accomplishment, this cavern. That took a lot of digging, but it's totally complete now. Now we just have to test it out and make sure it actually works. Very important. Well, as always, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you again next time, here in Fortress Gomathzon. And until then, you bearded bastards.